Hello everyone, this is Wojciech, and I'm here with short product management tip part 3. And today we are going to talk about financials. So what financial knowledge and what financial metrics product managers should know. So first off, let me say again that this is just my personal experience and my personal beliefs, purely on my own experience, so by any mean, I'm not trying to say that this is just like a ultimate true. So what I would like to say is that I believe that true product management is about owning result of the product that you manage. So of course there are certain exceptions from this situation. For example, if situation is during the difficult economic period, or there is some transformation, there is very often a case where the control is actually centralized in hands of executives or like a chief financial officer. Very often I was part of a situation where there was actually a very difficult economic situation, and the financial officer requested all expenses to go through her, so they could actually keep in their cash flow, keep track of all the financials. So it's obviously understood situation. It's also not only reasonable, but it's obvious that owners and the founders can do the same, right? If they feel that company doesn't go in the right direction, that's their own right, founder mode. But in a regular situation, when we want to delegate accountability and delegate responsibility to manage the product, I believe that the product manager should take responsibility also of the results. And what does it mean? So, of course, this means that he own the result, like a profit of the product, and obviously it's made of two major components, which is obviously on one hand revenue, so everything that sales marketing does, and on the other hand all the cost components, so R&D, product development, the cost of development and production of the product, regardless if this is software, hardware, any service. So of course this means that product manager takes part in creating like a pricing, so because whatever sales is actually dependent of the unit price or the subscription pricing, right? So the total revenue will actually equal number of sold units. On the other hand, we have entire cost structure, which is obviously high level, can be divided between fixed costs and variable costs, right? Cost of employees, salaries, and like operational expenses versus hardware investments, equipment, buildings, right? Of course, as you can see, there is also a component of which is called like cost of capital, which means if you take a loan or like a investment loan, you will pay an interest, right? So the longer the in the period, the bigger the interest rate. Yeah, I mean the bigger amount that you pay as an interest rate. So all this can be translated to different indicators, and I'll just talk about them briefly. Of course, in this short video, we're not going to cover them all, but there are some product managers must understand. But what I'm trying to say is, of course, you may ask the question, so okay, revenue is actually sales and marketing, right? Commercial officer or sales marketing officer, right? Cost of production is obviously engineering, so where product manager actually is in this picture. Well, so he's exactly in the middle, right? He's actually owning something that people call profit and loss, or very often P&L, an abbreviation you can hear, which is simply like a summary of all revenue and all cost and expenses incurred, even during the specific period. So you simply like put together, right? As you can see on this example P&L, on the one hand all the revenue, then all the cost components. was actually important, that in the P&L you can see cost broken down in the different categories. Cost of sales, so the cost of acquisition of the customers, and all the operational expenses. You can also see here one of the lines, depreciation. So we're just going to talk about it in a second, because all the investments, so if you, for example, buy an equipment, you invest into machinery, all these things that can go beyond 1 year, they are actually booked in your P&L, separately. This should be also understood. I will put, the example, the link that you can see here in the description of the video, so you can actually play with different templates of your P&L. But this is what product manager, in my opinion, should own. And by a lot of product coaches and product directors, you cannot actually have proper product management if you cannot just actually delegate either to product manager or the entire product division, maybe head of product or like a VP of product, responsibility, to manage P&L. What does it mean in practice? Well, on one hand, product manager owns the vision, the strategy of the product, right, the roadmap. So he or she says what's going to build. So on the one hand, influences heavily what engineering team are going to build, and thus also how big cost is required, how many engineers, for example, we need. On the other hand, by influencing marketing strategy, like a positioning, pricing, this person is also like heavily heavily engaged into, or should be engaged in, sales and marketing. But I'm not saying that it should be like a first salesperson, but whatever is actually there should be supported by a product manager. And many organizations, for example, an Apple or an Airbnb, actually product managers are equal product marketing managers. And the founder of Airbnb actually says, that product managers should promote, and should actually, all the releases should be done with a high promotion. So we actually need to promote new features, promote new value that we create by the product. So it's obviously very commercial role in this in this situation, right? But the very important part, since sales understand what's going to be like a top line, what's going to be the revenue, and R&D obviously can, whatever money we can give, engineers can spend on building, I usually call it like over engineering. So that's why we have a product manager in the middle, talking to customers and making a discovery and trying to balance the P&L, right? And that's why the financial results, the profitability of the product should be in the hands of product manager. Yeah. So of course there are numerous, like I mentioned, numerous indicators. One of them you can see is a break-even point. So the moment in which product actually starts sustain itself, so the revenue goes beyond the cost, as you can see here in this moment where those lines cross, and this means that the in revenue that is coming to the company actually exceed the cost, and we no longer have to invest, right? It's obviously not yet a payback period, because payback period means that we are going to get back the money we invested in the product, which means simply how much time we need in order to get our money back. And obviously there is also profitability, so how much profit we are going to make percentage-wise comparing to the cost. And this is, this very famous indicator ROI, right? Or return on investment. So here you guys go. We discuss profit and loss. We discuss the financial model, those important metrics like break-even, return on investment, payback period, cash flow, which means obviously having money in your pocket, right? So how much invoices are being paid, and so it may be surprising to some people, but many companies actually don't fail because they don't have clients, but because of the cash flow problems. So one large customer, in some let's say service businesses or project businesses, not paying like a large invoice can kill the company, right? Because we are not able to pay salaries, we are not able to pay, for example, interest rate to banks, and in this such situation we can actually be put into liquidation. So it's very important, this is a role of product or chief financial officer, to to make sure that we have enough cash, on the bank account, right? So we can pay salaries and actually operate on a daily basis. Obviously, you can see here IRR and NPV, net present value, internal rate of return. So they are indicators, dynamic indicators that show the value of time, value of money in time. So, for example, we of course have, if we have an interest rates, so we need to take this into consideration when calculating the return on investment. Yep. So of course prices go up. So that we have. So we need to also understand that the future money actually we have to be like recalculated to the current situation that we calculate in, right? I won't go into other metrics. Of course, you have monthly and annual recurring revenue. Everybody, envy so much software companies because they can have monthly recurring revenues, so monthly subscriptions. We all pay some kind of subscriptions like Netflix, Disney, whatever. But this is obviously because of the cash flow. It's actually very desired model by companies. Yeah. I already mentioned a little bit about the investments and depreciation, amortization, that capital expenditures. So all those investments are put in the books in a little bit different way as a line. This you can find it as a depreciation or amortization. I won't go again into very big details. I attached the link in the description, that explains this a little bit more. But briefly speaking, all these investments can be spread over time. So you don't put one cost item in your book. Let's imagine you buy a building worth, I don't know, $1 million. It doesn't mean that you generate a loss of $1 million. Nowadays, you can actually spread this over time. But once again, there are different rules of depreciation, these legal rules, different models of amortization. So, it's obviously better to talk to your CFO for details. One last thing, regarding the financials, I think the product managers should understand how budgeting works. So in small companies, it can be a simple Excel sheet where you keep all the plans that you make, and you simply every month update it with actuals and actually compare what was the original plan versus what are actual expenses. So you can actually see what learn on and your experience, and and simply keep track of all the finance of the budget. Everybody who actually created any pitch deck and went to venture capital, obviously was requested to provide any financial models, right? And they're just always analyzed. But in larger organizations, this budgeting cycle can be bigger. So it can be like meetings that start actually somewhere in the summer. So you have actually some first model of budget in September. Imagine that you have multiple departments. You need to put all this cost together and all the revenue plans together in order to create like a budget file, so actually to see how company is going next year. Of course, I won't go to the non-financial metrics, but you need to also understand how those non-financial metrics, I don't know, usage, customer satisfaction, how they are actually tied to to the financials, right? So, for example, if customers leave, you have a big churn. So simply customers don't stay with your product. How does it going to influence your financials? It's pretty obvious, right? So you see, guys, there is actually pretty much that product managers should understand, but I cannot see actually how can you manage the roadmap and how can you take informed decisions. Of course, very important, a critical factor in making this in product decisions actually like a value, right, for the customers. So we make a product discovery, market research to prioritize, the things that's going to be developed in the new versions of products and generally in new products. But if you cannot translate it into financials, you're always going to be pushed, as some people joke, just a glorified project manager, right? So you're not really a decision maker. You are just like a person who manages the backlog or manages the plan. And that's exactly my intention behind this video, to give you certain direction, what you should learn or what should you master, in order to take more responsibility and in order to maybe convey and somehow to, the message to your management board or to your boss that you are ready to take more responsibility and be more autonomous product manager, right? So we always talk about autonomous product teams and blah blah blah, but in reality this means that you have to be ready to be given this kind of freedom, right? And maybe this is obvious for senior product managers, or I don't know, head of products, or the head of departments, or VP of products in some companies, but it's not that obvious, I think, for many product owners, younger product managers, right, who think that product management is just like a managing list of responsibilities that you need to put into the product. No, actually you should be able to do more, right, if you want to at least grow your career further. All right, guys, I already spoke for 16 minutes. Usually they should be no more than 15. So I hope those information were valuable for you, and see you in the next video next week. Cheers.